I was Miss Goody Two Shoes. I remember sitting in her office on the floor crying. So I stitch, I embroider. So it was a wonderful time to be in music television.
It's momentary, momentarily. Okay, Arshad.
Vijay Raz was my co-star. And it was very funny because Vijay Raz speaks only Hindi.
Yes.
And I speak only English. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Dad ka haath ka khana.
Which is all right.
No, why should it be all that? I didn't want that.
Okay.
This I wanted to be damn good
play.
at. This I wanted to be good at. I think food found me at the time I needed it the most.
Hello everyone, welcome to Jas Talking. Jas Kiran Kapoor, and with me is the fabulous Maria Goretti, mother, actor, the original MTV VJ, writer, cookbook author, and now she's out with her book of poetry also, To the Moon and Back, if I'm right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, welcome Maria. And
Thank you.
I want
Thank
to
you,
first
Jas.
congratulate you on your book,
Thank
on
you.
your journey as an author. But before that, you were many things, you've put on so many hats before
Yeah.
turning into writing. Like, I think it's become almost a full-time career now.
I don't know because I always feel that life is more enjoyable with a lot of little, adventures. When you go on many adventures, I think it's a lot more fun. So I've never really planned anything, Jassi. I have basically taken it as it comes, and I've just tried to do complete justice to whatever it is that I'm doing.
Does that come from your childhood upbringing, this sense of adventure and just take life as it comes?
No, I think that was more of me finding who I am as an adult.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your childhood first.
So
I'm curious.
I was I was Miss Goody Two Shoes. Okay, I still somewhere think that girl lingers somewhere around.
So it's Bombay, you're bringing
Bombay.
up.
I'm absolutely born and brought up
Hardcore.
in Bombay.
Mumbai girl.
I'm a Mumbai girl. I'm a Bombay girl.
Okay.
Erstwhile Bombay girl. And I had a very normal, simple upbringing. My parents both worked. My mom is a nurse. My dad, we are a simple middle class family. So my father went abroad and worked abroad because that was the call of the moment. And I went to a co-ed school, so I never had this. I was never awkward around boys.
No inhibitions.
As in,
Free
no, as
spirit.
in, not really, but I mean, they were not some weird creature to me. They were okay because I grew up with them. And I was a very good student. So I always used to stand first in class, and I was that student. Till I think my 8th standard. In the 8th standard, I remember my dad fell very, very ill. And at that point of time, I think I had like my first lesson in life that taught me that what you achieve on the outside does not matter when it comes to a life and death situation. And I remember my dad, of course, is very much alive and healthy today. But at that point of time, when I remember him asking me, he said, "So are you going to stand first in class?" Because that was the norm. And I said yes to him, but in my head, I just thought, I said, "But is this going to save you, me coming first in class?" And somehow for me, from that situation onwards, I kind of never put a lot of importance to,
Hardcore academics.
not hardcore academics, coming out first, or, I have to be the
Acing
most
everything.
important, and I have to. I enjoyed what I
You
did.
shared that image.
I shared that. I shared that thought in my head. And I think that was a very, very big learning and a fantastic thing for me.
So what did you then focus on?
So nothing. I never focused on anything. I just continued living, and I did everything that I'm doing, but I don't put the burden of I have to be the best.
Okay, that excelling.
Yeah.
You never. So I think it travels
So,
to your kids also.
I
But
don't.
it's all
I think
right.
it does. But the thing is, I do what I want to the best of my ability, but I don't beat myself up if it is not going to win an award, But I know that I worked really hard, and I know that what I've done is very good. And I am okay with that. I am happy with that.
Okay, and so from school to college now, then dancing began.
So I
side by-
started,
because you started
yeah,
as a
so
dancer.
I started dancing. I love dancing, so I started dancing. And then from there, it led to me doing ad films. So I did ad films for a very long time. Then I was figuring what to do in life. So I thought I wanted to be a fashion designer. So I joined a fashion design school. And my teacher actually, after the first year of me being in school, she didn't take my fees for the next year. Her name is Jyoti ma'am, and I'm forever grateful to her. And she said, I'm not going to take your fees. She said, because you don't need this course and this is not where you are going to be and you are meant for different things. And I remember sitting in her office on the floor crying, saying, please take my fees. I want to be.
But didn't like your designs, or she
No,
saw that
she said
there's another design to your
so
life?
she felt that. She said, no, Maria, don't do this. She said, you don't need to do this. She said, you're very good at what you do. So I stitch, I embroider, I can make clothes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a skill, we are lacking now.
I can do all this. I can make curtains. I can do all of it.
So
Stitch
impressed.
buttons, put zips, everything. I can do. So as a college going student, I stitched my own clothes.
So
okay,
nice,
I stitched my own clothes. So I used to constantly be wearing new clothes because I was stitching
That's
them.
why it's love for fashion.
I think so.
The colors.
I love them. Yeah. So and then I think from there I got into hosting shows. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget. I started with Z, and I did a travel show with them. I did a music show with them. I did a food show with them, and then I got into MTV at some point of time.
Yeah, MTV's first generation of
first generation of Indian VJs,
massively popular, and I think it was the only generation which actually told us what being a VJ is.
Yeah,
I don't think so. There's anyone after that. Well, we've grown
I have
up
to
on
say
it.
we were special.
Yes, you still are. Well, that's how everybody wanted to. हमने भी यही बनना है.
But you know what was so wonderful about that era is that we were
This
never,
is 90s, right?
Yeah, we were never really told that you need to be like this or you need to be like that, and so each one of us was so different from the other.
Yes.
We all had our own personality. We all looked in our own various ways. We all had our own sense of style, our own sense of how we hosted a show.
The channel also gave you that
The
leeway.
channel gave us complete freedom. So it was a wonderful time to be in music television. Yes. And I remember I was at one of my shows and somebody backstage came and told me, they said, listen, there's someone to meet you. So I said, who? So they said, there is a little elderly woman. So I said, elderly woman? I was thinking, who would come for my MTV show, So I went out and it was Jyoti ma'am, and she looked at me and she said, say thank you, say thank you.
You had left that course then, huh?
Yeah, I had to, because she didn't take my fee. She said, no, you don't need this, Maria. You need to leave. She said, you don't need this. She said, you know how to make clothes. I don't know what you're doing here, wasting your time, wasting your money. She said, you don't need this degree. You leave. And she came backstage and she said, and I remember, and I looked at her and I went and I hugged her and I said, thank you so much. It's amazing.
But it's amazing how people spot what you cannot see yourself.
Yeah, and it's quite amazing. And I'll never forget meeting. And I always, whenever I think of college or I think about anything, I always think of her. And I remember her telling me, she said, this is not for you. You're meant, and she told me this, she said, you're meant for bigger things. And I was thinking, what bigger things? Let me just be a designer.
So she's your guardian angel in some way.
In some fantastic way.
Which is so interesting because you're named after a saint, if I'm right.
I'm named after an Italian saint, Maria Goretti.
Maria Goretti.
Yes.
Goretti is your surname in
Goretti is not my surname.
Okay,
my name is Maria Goretti Fernandez.
Okay.
And at the moment means it's now Varsi.
It's momentary, momentarily. Okay, Arshad. We'll have to think about that. That's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then things rolled on, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of hosts and
I did that for about 5.5 years.
And films also, I think one or two.
So, I did one film. I'm not really...
But you're not fond of acting or anything?
So, I never thought about it as a career. So, though I got quite a number of offers, but I loved being a VJ. So, I never looked at being a VJ as a stepping stone to being an actor. I loved my VJing job and I was having a lot of fun with it. And I was not sure of my acting prowess. And I don't speak fluent Hindi without grammatical errors. And I think I may have not loved acting as much as I loved hosting. So I never took up any of the offers that I got, which were mostly commercial films. But I met Rajat Kapoor for a test, and he called me and he told me, he said, "You've got this role." And I remember I was hosting the World Cup at that time. So I was in South Africa. I was there doing the initial bit, because after that we were supposed to go back in Feb and March in 2003. And this was 2002. And he told me, he said, no, he said, you're in the film. So I said, see, Rajat, I'm going because I've got 15 days to do travel and to shoot all the things in advance before we go for the final event. But I said, so you search for somebody, because this is not my cup of tea. All I'm asking you is just tell me, Maria, I got my person, and that's it. So I went off to South Africa to shoot for 15 days. And we were supposed to shoot, it was a film called Raghu Romeo. I think it was way ahead of its times. It was when small films were not really, they were just starting, yes. And he crowdfunded it. And I came back and there was no call from him. So I called him back. I said, listen, have you found your person? He said, I'm not searching for anyone.
I found you.
It is you. So I was like, okay, fine then. And I had such a wonderful time on shoot. And Vijay Raz was my co-star. And it was very funny because Vijay Raz speaks only Hindi.
Yes.
And I speak only English. So, that was one of the most fun things I did. After that, I got pregnant. After the World Cup,
You were married by that time?
I was married.
You met Arshad?
I met Arshad while I was dancing. And then I danced for him. He was a choreographer. You know, he came out fourth in the world, right? Yes. In the World Dance Championships.
Yes, he started his career with that.
So he is actually a jazz dancer. And I remember him shooting his first song in Hindi films when he started doing, when he did Tere Mere Sapne, and he called me back and he said, okay, I don't think I'd ever feel like this, but I can't dance. So I said, what? He said, this I can't do. I can't dance. I said, this is ridiculous. Of course you can dance. He says, no, these steps are very different.
1, 2, 1, 2.
So I think it took him some time to get into the groove of this, because he was a jazz dancer and he was doing different things. But anyway, coming back to where I was,
Romeo.
I finished Raghu Romeo. It was a blast. After that, I did a cricket show for ESPN. And that was the last piece of work I did. After that, I remember I told Arshad, I said, listen, I've worked all my life. I started working at the age of 18. So I said, I want to travel. And I never had free time. So suddenly there was this free time. So we both went off to Europe for 3 months. And we just traveled and traveled and traveled and traveled. And then I realized that I don't want to work anymore and I would like to have kids. And I remember I got pregnant with Zeke. I delivered in 2004. Zeke was born on August 10th. And I stayed at home. And I really enjoyed it. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And after Zene was born in 2007, then I started doing a little bit of tiny bits of work. And I realized after some time while bringing these children up that I really do enjoy cooking, but I don't know how to.
Yeah, because I think in one of the conversations, Arshad is a better cook. You had
he was
said,
he was a better cook.
And you were like, I also need to cook because my kids ask me, Mama, we want this. Mama,
no,
we
so
want
he
that.
told me, he said, that you better learn how to cook because otherwise they're going to say, dad ka haath ka khana.
Which is all right.
No, why should it be all right? I didn't want that.
Okay.
This I wanted to be damn good
play.
at. This I wanted to be good at. No, it's not that. Very frankly, I fell in love with it.
Okay.
I fell in love with cooking.
So is it your mother also cooks? As in
She
some
cooks.
recipes come from her also?
A lot of them, you learn from your mom and your grandmother and you learn like that. And then I learned a lot from YouTube. And
yes, Jai Ho, YouTube Baba.
Yeah.
Ultimate
I learned a lot. I used to bring books and read and try and figure if there was one recipe, I would read 10 recipes. Then I would try and figure what are the common components, what are the common methods. And that's how I used to then make my own recipe. And so even today when I cook, I always, even if I know something, I will still go and find tuck. Then I will check, okay, what are they doing? Then I would write the best of everyone and then I would do something.
Are you a patient cook? Because I'm a shortcut cook.
No, I'm a patient cook because I don't cook every day.
Okay.
So I cook on an occasion. I cook when I'm entertaining. I cook when the kids want something special. I cook, I'm that kind of a cook.
So what is your specialty which you think it is?
So I do everything, but I think because my base of cooking, because I learned it, is French cooking. I do everything in that with that at the back of my head. But I love my East Indian food. I'm East Indian. East Indians are from Bombay. They are basically the people of the land and the original inhabitants of the land. So I'm sure my forefathers somewhere were Hindus, and I'm sure they converted down the line.
So what are the recipes in that?
So there are a lot of recipes which are a mix of Maharashtrian and Portuguese and the British. So it is not, I'm not Anglo-Indian, okay? Anglo-Indians are a different sect of Indians. I'm East Indian. East Indians are basically farmers, landowners and fisher folk.
Okay.
And they lived in the seven little islands of Bombay that has now become one big fat, fuming, commotion-filled space.
Food has so many stories to tell,
Yes.
so much history, so much science. We undermine food so much today. Like you're going to have a talk also, that food is what makes us.
Yes.
If you're getting sick, or if
Yes.
you're healthy, or if you're happy, or if you're sad, or if you're overweight or underweight, it all goes back to what's in your gut. Your gut is
Yes.
called the second brain.
Yes.
So have
And
you
it's the
also
most
delved into
important.
that science? Like when you cook, do you also see the history, connect it? Kahan se aaya? Kaise aaya?
A little
What
bit.
is indigenous
not,
to our this
not,
thing?
not too much.
Or what is the science and...
So I do a little bit of research, but I'm not anal about it. But on an everyday basis, I must tell you that I am a very healthy eater. Okay, but if you offer me a burger, I will say yes immediately. If you offer me some yummy cake, I will say yes immediately. So I say, so my friends really look at me and say, don't say that. You can't say you're healthy when you'll do all this on the side. But I eat healthy. So my daily food is very clean. My vegetables are cooked with very little masalas. I don't like to taste the masala. I like to taste the vegetable. I am very fond of vegetables in the flavor that they come with. I really enjoy that. I enjoy all kinds of food. Okay, and I just feel that like I've never been a diet kind of person, but I like to eat right. I like to eat right.
And जैसे कि when we have someone cooking for us, तो कि अच्छा बड़ा स्वाद बना है, अच्छे मूड में बना है. Does food carry that emotion? मुझे तो गुस्से में बना रहा है ना, ये खाना स्वाद नहीं होगा.
No, and you can make that out.
You can make that out.
And it's the thing is also it's your energy.
Yes.
It's your energy. So you put your energy into, and they're all living things.
Being married, having kids, everyone goes through their own tumultuous time, ups and downs. Has cooking helped you? Has it been therapeutic? Is your energy
Oh my
flowed?
God, yes, absolutely. I think food found me at the time I needed it the most.
Okay.
And words found me. So it's very funny how actually
a lot of stories also.
My book has lots of stories. And it's also very funny, Jassi, but I started writing and I started cooking simultaneously. Okay, I started writing, I started blogging, and within a year I started writing poetry. Of course, that was on a back burner. But this whole journey, I found myself. I think 2011 for me was the finding of me. I found myself, and I found what I like, and I found what I love, and I found what I don't like, and it was a wonderful, wonderful time for me. Because I think while growing up, I just didn't have the time to figure who I am. And I think from 2011 onwards, I've been on this wonderful journey of finding who I am.
So
I would say I am a very complicated person.
That's all right.
Who loves adventure, who loves nature. Okay, I don't like to judge people, and I don't like anyone to judge me. I am a very strict person with my kids. only because I'm always very concerned about their safety. I'm working on that, on how to let my kids go. Um, I think I'm kind of a forgiving person, but I get very angry also. Um, but most of the time I am running around feeling very happy
this
and
is
free.
interesting because you said when you want to find yourself. When I talk to especially women, no man has ever told me my journey pe nikla to find myself. Because women are bogged down with so much.
Yeah.
You need to just take a breath and say, "Yaar, मेरी identity क्या है?"
Yeah.
Fine, I'm someone's wife, mother, daughter, sister, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. But who am I in all
Who
this?
am I in all this? Yeah.
So I think it's such a, even if that work is a lot, but it's so refreshing when you realize this is my time, my space. This is
So,
my
something that I
identity.
really love, which I never knew I did, is I love going once in a year for an Ayurveda cleanse.
Okay. I do cupboards. I clean the cupboards. That is my cleanse.
Oh, that is yours.
Declutter.
I declutter every 3 months.
Yes.
So you'll never find extra
That's
things in my
therapy.
wardrobe. I absolutely declutter, and I realize that I don't shop for clothes, and I don't shop for bags, and I don't shop for shoes or jewelry. I love household things.
Yes.
Okay, I will buy like
Mugs,
this
plates,
kasoli
ceramics.
has really ruined me. I have bought so many things that I can open my own little kasoli ka shop. Okay, but I love pottery. So there's
Yes.
one thing that I want to learn. Like if you right now, I've been
Go to
thinking
Andretta,
about it. I saw that, but at the moment I can't leave.
There's
But
one in Chandigarh also,
I
I
saw
tell
the Andretta thing. In fact, I wrote to them, but I cannot go at this point of time. So, but when I go back, I found a pottery place next to my home.
Okay.
And I want to just start with basic. It's something that I passionately love.
Yes. Something with your
Pottery.
hands. I think you like to do things with your hands.
Yeah, I
Chopping,
think.
cutting.
I also like painting. So
Yes.
I love doing interiors.
Okay.
So I've just finished doing a home in Goa,
Oh, right. That's nice.
our home, where I've actually sat and done ghasai on the furniture and painted
Sandpapered and everything.
and learned so many things. So I don't know techniques. So I would tell my guys that okay, मुझे ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है. अभी आप मुझे बोलो मुझे material क्या use करना है.
So you are a hardcore creative person who wants to just unleash all that creative energy.
Yeah.
And now the next is poetry. Ayurveda cleanse you do. Next is poetry.
So yeah.
How did you like as a kid also journal? We were used to writing journals and diaries.
I used
did
to
the
a
initial
little
journey
bit,
start
but I used to
with-
write stories, Jassi.
Okay.
And I used to write about dragons, and I used to write about all these kind of things.
You should see. So look at Harry Potter. That
No,
was
but
a
that
childhood
is-
story only.
she's fantastic. I mean, I'm
But
no Harry
it
Potter.
comes from her own childhood.
But I used to, because I used to read, I used to consume a lot of fairy tales. So I lived in my own fairyland, which is not the best place to live in.
That's all right.
This
We all
happily
do.
ever after, and like
And you have to find your own happily ever after.
yeah, you have to.
So poetry comes
So
from
poetry
there.
comes from, I don't know. But in 2011, I remember I wrote my first piece. And it was called Little Lamp. I don't remember it because I don't remember, I can't recite my poetry without having my
in
book.
front of you, yeah.
But I wrote my first piece called Little Lamp, which is basically about the fact that all of us in life, no matter what we are going through, there is a little lamp inside us. Sometimes the flame goes a little slow and it goes to the end, but it never really dies. Ever. And just came out of me, and I wrote it, and I kept it, and then I just started writing. I was just writing poetry, and I wrote a lot, and I continued writing. And after my cookbook was released, Deepa, who was then with the Om Books, she told me, she said, Maria, I've been reading your poetry on and off, and I really think you have something there.
Were you blogging the poetry? Were you
Some of
okay.
it.
Okay.
Some of it. And she said, listen, why don't you just compile it all and send it?
Okay.
So when I began compiling, I had 100 pieces, over the years. So I started this compiling process, I think, somewhere in 2017, 18.
So long term.
Yeah. And then Ipshita was my editor, and she kind of put it all together, and from 100 became to 70, 70 to 50,
Must have found a theme.
50 to 40. They've all to do with love and relationships and, all these kind of things. And then we came to 40 and she said, Maria, now it's done. Huh?
Good
Now
to
you
go.
do, it's good to go. Now you just do a spell check. And then we got into lockdown. So my spell check, every time I would read it, I would hate what I wrote.
You redid it then.
redo. I just churned everything. And I then actually did half the book completely new. And then I chopped whatever was there. And, and I think the more you read what you write as an author, as a writer, you just don't like it. You absolutely don't like it. Then finally this year in Jan, I think Ajay called me and said, you have to stop editing. He said, stop editing, stop adding, stop subtracting. We are going to press. He said, write me an email saying this book can go to press.
So you're compulsive for perfection also somewhere.
I think, no, I don't think it was perfection as much as it was, is this okay? Is this fine? Is this what poetry is supposed to be?
Yes,
because I'm not
How do you define poetry?
Quintessentially
Yes.
a writer. I'm not a poet. I'm just a common person.
But when your editor says okay, then I think that's...
Yeah, but you feel they're just saying okay because they're fed up of you.
But ऐसा ही होता है, you want to better yourself. Even with your recipes, you might have said, okay, let me just
No,
make
my
it.
recipes are
done.
very clear.
Okay.
I'm like, cut.
Done.
But I do 3 or 4 trials. I don't just put stuff out. I'll try it. Because if I'm going to put it out and you're going to try it,
Yes.
and if it's not good, what a waste of your time. No?
But poetry is, I think, like music. No, it has a different meaning at every
Poetry
phase in
has,
life.
yeah, it does.
And so when you wrote it, you must have thought, ab to mera thought process ye hai.
Yeah. So when I was reading stuff, I was like, okay, this is not happening. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
You will find it a little childish.
So will you tell my publisher that this is the reason we had this delay?
When you listen to songs, and then you understand the meaning now.
Yeah.
कभी मेरे दिल में ख्याल आता है, I'm like, why are my parents listening to this? Now I understand the words, the whole metaphor to it.
It's so beautiful.
It is. So then you realize, so poetry grows on you.
Yeah. And I think I read my poems so many times that I don't think I liked any. So now, I went to one lit fest before this. It's the first time I opened my book after it. I said, yes, this can go to print. So now when I'm reading it, I'm not finding it terrible. Because I feel ये तो print हो गया, अभी मैं कुछ कर भी नहीं सकती हूँ.
So let it heal or touch someone else. Then you write now whatever journey you're on.
Yeah. Now whatever I write, I'll write. But I'm happy that it's out. I'm happy that my cookbook is out there. I'm really happy about it. I'll tell you something, Jassi. One of the things that that gave me immense satisfaction is this year I started doing something called Cook the Book.
Okay.
Where I cooked my own book on Insta. So I was really happy that every recipe that I took from the book and I cooked again was fab. And it gave me a great sense of relief. Because when you're working on a book, sometimes sometimes you're trying to finish it, sometimes you are saying yes, it's nice, but because I never had a team and I was doing all this alone, so I had to be the person who takes the calls, the hard calls. So I was I'm actually enjoying my book now.
What is the secret recipe to any recipe? Chefs never disclose their recipes.
I think it is love. Because if you do anything with great love, okay, it just will be nice.
It will be nice.
It will be nice. I put my 300%. If I'm doing something, then I'll put my 300% in it. If I'm not going to do it, then I will tell you, listen, I can't do this. I will never, I don't see any reason in wasting your time or mine or making you run after something that is never going to happen. So I will say honestly, okay, this will happen, this will not happen. And I feel it's better that way. It's better to be straightforward. And I think because I'm like this, I also expect other people to be straightforward with me. So if you tell me something, I will accept it at face value. Because when I tell you something, that's what I mean.
Yes.
Not
many people are like that.
No, I realized that I think that's the best way
That's
to
the
be.
best way.
So sometimes I may rub people the wrong way, but I feel in the long run, at least I'm not fooling around. You know,
And you and Mini Mathur share a love for saris?
I think yes, she does. I do. We both have our very different styles, and I think all my
Your best
friends
pals also, I believe.
Yeah, I think all our friends wear saris. It's just that I think because we are people who you see on social media a lot more. I have another friend of mine, Jaya, who also wears
Jaya Mishra,
really beautiful saris.
really
She's the author of Karma. You must do. Oh yeah, you know her.
Yes.
Yes. So
So in all this, social media, when you were VJs, it was TV. Now, how do you perceive, youngsters? Everyone is on social media. Everyone's
Yeah.
a VJ. Everyone's a DJ,
Yes.
RJ, whatever
Yes.
J you can have.
Yes.
So do you feel कि वो time ठीक था? Or you feel this is because your kids also are now
I
exploring
mean,
these avenues probably?
this is the new way, and this is how it is. So
How
you
has technology helped you?
So I look at it as a place where I can showcase the work that I'm doing, and I'm happy with that.
So it's a medium.
So it's a medium for me.
But what would you like to tell women, especially working women, mothers, anything that you've learned in your journey? Because some of them I was talking to, I'm sorry, but I was talking to Hibabar also, and I said, "Ek mommy guilt bhi hota hai. Should we get back into the workforce? Should we not? Should we do this?" We are in self-doubt, or we are in conflict with ourselves. Probably our spouses or families don't have a problem, but we somehow are conditioned to keep thinking and putting others first. Why is it that?
So see, my son is now 19 and my daughter is 16. So they're pretty big and they can look after themselves. So it has given me a little bit of freedom. I feel I can get out, but I think I also feel now they're older. I need to be there, and
but you put that on yourself.
I put that on myself. That's true. And they keep telling me, "Mama, you please travel." They keep telling me, "Stay longer."
So what would you like to tell the women, who are now going to step into various phases of life? That should we just... Well, I've also left a kid and come and, covering all this. So I'm like, okay, I constantly keep calling, is she okay? Is she okay? Is she okay?
So I think because I came from a hardcore working background, I enjoyed the break. I really did. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and when I wanted to go and study, I did go. And thankfully, because, I have, Arshad was, he kind of did his schedule around my 3 months of college. So there was my mom, there was my dad.
So there's a support system.
Yeah, my mom and dad came and lived while I was there. I had friends who would come home and take the kids out if they needed to go. I had my Arshad's niece Zoya who would come and hang with the kids. So I was very secure that, see, they were also small. Now when you leave small kids, what do they need? They need to be fed,
bathed, clothes.
And they need to be kept safe.
Yes.
Very easy to do when they're small.
Yes.
It's when they are left, when they are older,
Yes.
that you need to worry.
Then you're like, oh.
Then you're thinking, okay, now they've taken the car out. Have they come back?
Huh.
Oh my God, what are they doing out? Where are they? Why have they not put the location on? So I think today I worry. There's always worry. But I just think that as a woman, I think it's very important for you to be happy on your inside. Because if you are, then you can spread that happiness. And I think at the end of the day, as women, do what we want to do. Through the guilt, through the not guilt, through the whatever. We do find our way. And I think that's great.
And financial independence?
I think that's so important, I think that's so important. I also think homemakers should get paid.
Yes, they should.
I have a friend of mine, Mohu Achinappa, who's doing this entire campaign about saying that homemakers need to get paid. People take it in the wrong manner when you say this, but it's not.
You need to pay, you need to compensate.
It's not, I'm not saying it's a payment, but I think a woman needs to be financially independent.
Yes.
So if she's a homemaker, how is she going to be financially independent unless the person whose life she's absolutely balancing in the house is going out and being able to work, because that woman is seeing to it that everything else works in tandem.
She's giving you time, service, everything.
Of course she must be having help or whatever, that's besides the point. But the thing is, there is a homemaker is amazing.
Did you get the dues while being a homemaker?
No, but I always earned my own money.
Okay. No,
You know-
but during that stretch, that break.
No, I don't. We have joint accounts.
Okay, then that's fine.
Yeah. So there was never ki ye mera, ye tumhara.
Yeah,
It
so
was
na
never
bichi.
like that.
So, okay, now what next? Any more recipes, travels,
So
journeys? What are we
whenever
going
anyone
to see
asks
from
me
you?
what next, no, I
know-
have absolutely no idea.
Which is good.
No idea. But whatever it is, no, it's going to be fantastic.
All right, on that note, it was fantastic talking to you.
Thank you,
And I
Jasmine.
hope to see you in Chandigarh now.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Adios from Just Talking. And please like and subscribe the channel.
Yes.
Take care. Bye-bye.